Hello? Is anybody in there? Hello, hello? Good morning, Kevin. How are you? We'll do this. Oh, my back is bad today. Hey, Carrie, how are you? Good morning. Yeah, he doesn't know how to say any words. I'm doing pretty good. Had a lot of fun last night. Did a fun interview. Have really thick skin to try and have a discussion with someone that's brainwashed. I mean, I don't. Someone who I I don't really care about the people that lack humanity in the sense of like their opinion of me means nothing. There's enough people in this world that I do have respect and stuff for that in my life that I'm good. I don't do this for those people. I do it for the people that are willing to listen and willing to have the conversations. Hey Jeremiah, how are you? But yeah, someone that lacks humanity, I don't care what they think about me. I feel sad for them if I'm being honest. Thank you for tapping, guys. It really does help, especially if you guys like come in early and start tapping. It means a lot. Tired, sick of Tuesday already? That's fair. Morning, OC. How are you? Raise of hands, and who's surprised that the deadline for the peace deal came and went? Anyone? Anyone? Hey, Ambrosia. Anyone? Not me. I mean, we all knew that the peace deal would pass because it's Trump, and he actually doesn't know how to make a deal. Not in terms of being a president. The nation of Iran will not perish, and if it does, that would make us literally the worst country to ever exist, especially if it did at our hands. What happens to Republicans after he expires? Will they split it blindly and follow who they're told to? I've been there. You being there means nothing. They're human beings. Doesn't matter. You haven't met all 93 million people in that country. Iran perishing would require 93 million people to lose their life. Why does it make America bad if 93 million, they are not cheering our president. They are not cheering our president. Why does it make America bad if Iran perishes? Because it would be because of us. No, they're not. Not anymore. maybe they had some hope before, but they sure ain't now. Good morning, Laura. What's up, Scott? Scott, thank you for that heart. Appreciate you guys. Please keep tapping those names. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying something. I'm seeing if going with the name gives some personal. I'll send you interviews and videos. I've seen interviews and videos. I don't doubt that there are people that like the president. That's not in question. That's not the problem. It's of the 93 million, most probably don't, especially since they're literally bombing them into, bombing them to hell. Trump is the most intelligent president. Plot twist. It's opposite day. Yeah. Seriously. But yeah, I had a really fun interview last night. If you guys watched the one I did with Lawson Grayson, I actually interviewed someone else who's in that space. And it was just nice to have fun. Like, it was nice, and the person I interviewed, we ended up bringing Lawson back because we did something fun in there, and it was really nice to have a full, hour-long conversation that was like just fun. How do we end the problem? Stop sticking our noses in everything. That's how. We need to stop trying to tell every other country how they need to live and trying to force them to do what we want to do. And we need to stop giving weapons, just handing weapons to the I country. Hey, Courtney. Yep, the timeline went by, no deal. 60 days, no deal. Shocker. I'm shocked. I'm so shocked. I don't even know what to think. Like, wow. Just wow. But yeah, in the end, that's always been our problem, is we have decided it's our job, that we're right, and we have the right to tell everyone else how they should be. I mean, that's the reason we're in the problem that we're in. We did that to Iran. 50 years ago. Which caused the revolution. Haven't you already heard? We already win. That's true. The Strait of Vermouth. I want someone to tell the president that it's actually called that and see if he believes it. That would be funny. Because I truly believe he would believe that. That's why Hegseth is so interested. Yep. That's probably it. Let's be fair, though. He probably doesn't know the difference between vermouth and whiskey. All he knows is that there's alcohol in it. That's all he cares about. Guys, if you wouldn't mind keeping tapping that nose, if we can get to 10K in the next 1 minute, that will help this live a lot. If all 90 people in there could tap, give like 100 taps or something, that'd be super helpful. I haven't washed my hands in 10 years. I know, right? What an idiot. He's such a dimwad. Morning, Silver. How are you doing? You hope no one taps? Aw. Thank you. I know he actually said it. That's the wild thing. Good morning, Bonnie. I appreciate that, Gem. Appreciate it, Becky. Thank you, guys. No complaints. Wish it was Friday. Truth. I gotta bring my car in to get its inspection and oil change today. So that's what I get to do after the live. Hegseth is actually campaigning in Iowa. That feels really odd. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all for helping get to 10K. I appreciate all the shares, the gifts, the taps. It means more than you guys know. Thank you for the heart me and the go and the popular. I can't sing. Exit thinks he is viable 2028. Does he really? Does he really? The Republican primary for president is going to be very interesting. Like really interesting. Is he hoping that he can pull the MAGA people in because he's as absolutely delusional as our president? Yeah, everyone's okay. I have a thing that's suction cupped in my shower, and like once a month it just falls off. And it's always random times. The worst is when it's at night. Oh yeah. We don't solve yeah, I know my ghost says hello, right? Last 60 days, who attacked tankers? The people that are being attacked? Yeah. The people that are using the power that they were given by this administration? Yeah. Nothing different. Nothing different. Oh. What's up, Scott?
Well, that's early for you.
Yeah, well, you know, you weren't here yesterday, so.
Yeah, just been fighting a little bit of fatigue. I'm tired.
You know, I think you're not the only one.
Yeah. You know, I was taking a look at the proposed new defense budget, which, as you know, they want to jump it from $1 trillion a year, more than all of our adversaries put together, to 1.5 trillion. Now, some of the numbers in there are pretty damned interesting. You know, and you're aware of the fact, I know you are, that we have a $40 trillion debt in this country, which will greatly increase the national debt. Well, he wants to spend $275 billion on a fleet of battleships that the Navy doesn't want.
Yep.
Now, we haven't built a battleship since World War II. Let me repeat that. We haven't built any battleships since World War II. We've refurbished some, but we haven't built any. And there's a reason for that.
They're
With
useless
the
right now.
advent of the aircraft carrier, and certainly with the advent of drones, they're irrelevant. They will cost $23.4 billion a pop. Now, to put that in perspective, that is twice the cost of an aircraft carrier.
And they want to build 18 of them.
Yeah, twice the cost of an aircraft carrier that will accomplish nothing better than being target practice for Russian and Chinese drones.
Mm-hmm.
That is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money that he just wishes to waste. He wants to take our aircraft carriers and go back to a steam catapult, which we used in World War II to launch our aircraft. Why? Because it makes a nice sound. I kid you not. He wants to get rid of the electromagnetic catapults that we have now and replace those with what we had in World War II, a steam catapult.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to spend hundreds of billions of dollars retrofitting our aircraft carriers to move the bridge of the aircraft carrier from the rear of the ship to the center of the ship because he thinks it's a better look. Now, all of this is obvious nonsense, but when we're talking about pissing away, that would actually end up being more than $500 billion. Just how sane is this, man? How much longer are we going to ignore the elephant in the room? That we have a president who is, forget about dementia. He's just dumb.
Yep.
He's just really dumb, and he's not sane. He says things that aren't sane. Yeah. He's mad at South Korea for reasons known only to himself. And under Chinese and North Korean threat, rather than doubling down on training with the South Koreans, he's cutting that back. He's putting our nation and their nation at risk.
And
folks, that's not the actions of a sane person.
And he's showing he's got a kind of a hard one for Kim Jong-un too, like just loving on that man so much.
He's had that for a while. Unfortunately, it is unrequited love because Kim Jong-un doesn't give a shit about Donald Trump. But Donald Trump thinks he does.
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin doesn't give a shit about Donald Trump, other than to laugh at him and call him, and I quote, a useful idiot.
Yep.
Vladimir Putin's words, not mine. Yeah, we are living in a timeline where it's not just the mainstream media, it's most media, refuses to address the elephant in the room. That the person with his finger on the nuclear button is not a rational, thinking human being.
Mm-hmm.
That is so unbelievably dangerous that I don't think I need to spell that out.
And yes, Deuce, I saw that the Supreme Court rejected the appeal to retry the case, which means it is straight up done, and now SA is permanently on that man's record for all of time now. There is no retrying, there is no more appeals, there is no more anything. Donald Trump is forever convicted of SA. And he's our president. And he is not getting impeached. This is just absolutely insane.
You know, Georgia Man in chat makes a very relevant comment. Putin is ex-KGB. Putin knows how to play Trump. Trump is very dumb. Exactly. When you're a businessman, and I've known some of them, when you go to Russia, you are given a litany of things to watch out for. Namely, Russians, they have a very good Secret Service, and they have very good spy agencies. They love to gather information on anybody of any import whatsoever who visits their country. They may never use it, but they like to keep it. So you're told when you check into your hotel room and a very lovely looking girl comes in to ask, is there anything else we can get you? She brings you a bottle of champagne. She's a KGB agent.
Yeah. Did you see the video that's going around that showed the backside of Trump? So one of two things are happening. Either he's wearing a diaper, which is probably the actual thing because we know it's true, or he had a BBL done, because that is the largest ass I've ever seen on a man in my entire life. It's kind of disgusting, actually. It's just so bad. That thing was thanging. It really was, Jim. Literally on his butt? That's not where you'd place it, because you wouldn't want to sit on it. This was most likely an adult diaper, but it could be a BBL. Maybe he just wanted a, he wanted to go up against J-Lo. The biggest of them all. Exactly.
And by the way, why aren't people asking more about the health of our president? He's the only guy I ever heard of who goes to 4 annual physicals. He had 22 specialists at his last physical. Why? And what were their specialties? These are important questions, and I understand about HIPAA. I get that. But when you become a public figure in the United States, there's certain, especially a president, there are certain of your privacy rights that you voluntarily give up. And that's one of them.
I think the reason no one's talking about it anymore is they know the Republicans won't do anything. What I am hoping is that they will talk about it in their vote in the midterms. That is what I'm hoping. I think the people are realizing it. I mean, he's got what now, a 33%? He's down to a 33% approval rating, which is insane. No, president's health is not classified information. It's not actually.
No, the president's health is classified. What a moronic statement. Now, it's true that, like any of us, he is under no legal obligation to release that, but other presidents have for obvious reasons.
What's up? Every other leadership in every other countries is okay.
Really? Then why is King Charles talking about his cancer? Why is he doing that? I understand Vladimir Putin keeps his under wraps. So you're comparing us favorably with Russia. Good.
I mean, again, why are we talking about other countries as though that changes anything for here? You made a statement. Your statement is false. It's just not true. Just because others may not do it doesn't make it true that his health is classified. It's not. Why is he saying he's from Jersey, Hubba? That's how they say it in Jersey.
How I say what in Putin. Jersey? I have no accent. But go ahead. Yeah, what about Putin?
You're saying it's Putin.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You're from Jersey. That's how they say it in Jersey. It's all good.
No, I say it correctly. Everybody else says it wrong. At any rate, Scott in chat, not to be confused with Scott in the box, makes a good point. He says, Elon will rig the midterms. Don't be so sure of that, Scott. I'll tell you why. Lately, when Elon's been spending money on candidates, it's backfired on them so spectacularly that every bit of benefit that those candidates get out of Elon's money is lost by people who vote against them just because Elon's giving them money. And I point to the 2024 election where he pissed away boatloads of money in Wisconsin and Michigan and didn't get near the return on dollar investment that Charlie Kirk got in Arizona, working on a shoestring budget and brought people out of the woodwork. So Elon pisses away a lot of money on politics and doesn't get much of a return on it. And I'll also point you to that Wisconsin Supreme Court election where the Republican lost by 10 points. And that doesn't happen in Wisconsin.
I don't think we've talked about this a little bit, Lawyer Shark. There is no like method built into the Constitution to be able to do that, really, nor is there really enough people to be able to do that. So I would be surprised. Again, does that mean he won't try and do things in certain states to try and encourage people to not go vote or to scare people into not voting? We've talked about it before. I think he will. But in terms of martial law, there's really nothing built into our government to allow for something like that nationwide.
And the funniest comment I've seen in here in quite some time, Poker Walking Dead says, "My vote is for sale. Send me $400." Now, Poker, if you play a lot of poker, keep a poker face, ask for 1,000, Elon will give it to you.
He probably would. Heck, ask for $1 million. Shoot for the moon. Where's our Doge money? It's in the $500 billion budget deficit that we ran up in July alone. That's still wild to me. Almost $500 billion budget deficit in 1 month. Never happened before. Ever. In 1 month.
Well, you know what we've learned in 2.5 years, Mike? We've always known that a president alone can't fix the economy. It's just too big. Presidents don't have enough power to do that. And in fact, government doesn't have enough power to do that. The economy is much bigger than the government. But a president sure can wreck an economy. And he can wreck an economy, or she can wreck an economy very quickly. And he's managed to do that. Again, these are not my words. In the words of the World Bank, at the end of the Biden administration, they called the American economy the wonder of the world for the way we came out of the pandemic. Let me ask you, MAGAs in chat, is anybody anywhere on earth calling the American economy the wonder of the world now? Is anybody calling it that?
Clinton did balance the budget. The only president to reduce the debt. And to be fair, and I'm not giving him credit because it's still his fault, at least a good chunk of that deficit is probably the refunds, the tariff refunds. Because I know they've given back over $100 billion in tariff refunds. So that definitely made it worse. But that's still his fault for doing it in the first place when they should have allowed the tariffs to be on halt while it went through the courts. But instead, we brought all the money in and then had to give it back, so it literally does double damage to the economy. Is anyone calling the US military the most powerful? I mean, Americans are. Anyone else? I mean, we're still powerful. We still have more military than any one country.
$1 trillion a year, and we don't have enough ordnance for all our fancy platforms.
No.
Look, the F-35 stealth fighter is one of the most magnificent airplanes ever built. There's no doubt about it. It is light years ahead of what anybody else has. But platforms don't do you much good if you don't have the ordnance to use with them. And we brag about how good the Patriot missiles are, and they are good. The PAC-3 is an outstanding piece of weaponry, but it's not outstanding when we don't have enough of them.
Yep.
And that's baffling to me.
Silver, you don't understand how? You know what? The way things are going, it wouldn't surprise me if somehow this president or the people around him planned this grift to, just like the playing with the markets to get rich people more money. So, like, the problem with giving the money back to the people who paid the tariffs is the ability to prove how much anyone paid in tariff money, and that would be insane to do. Again, that's why they should have stopped the tariffs while it went through the court. But, you know, we've got dumb conservatives who don't think that should be allowed, which makes no sense to me.
Well, not only that, we're spending $1 trillion a year on our drone technology, which is the warfighting capabilities of the 21st century, sucks. Now, we produce a $50 million a pop Reaper drone. The Iranians shot down over 25% of our entire stockpile. They suck. And Ukrainians are producing drones for a couple $1,000 that do a better job. What the hell is wrong with us?
How many billionaires are in Trump's administration? 4? Trump. Ludwig. I think Bessent is one too. And the Secretary of Education. I don't know if the Interior guy is. I know he's super rich. I don't know if he's a billionaire, though. Although, how many are billionaires now after everything that's gone on? I mean, Kushner's technically not in the administration. Not in the way when someone says administration, how most people think of it. But yes, I mean, obviously there are billionaires that are doing stuff with this administration. Thank you for the gifts, guys. I appreciate you. Kushner is a negotiator, I think is what he like officially is. He's not. Administration officials are technically mostly voted on people. I think there are a couple that aren't, but still considered part of the administration. But a majority of people, when you say the Trump administration, you say you're thinking of the people that got voted on by the Senate. Thank you, Anne. Thank you. Guys, if you haven't checked out the videos or the audio over on the Tube and on Apple or Spotify, please do. Please do. If you haven't seen the news that YouTube has changed the way they're monetizing to a point where it's really bad, it's basically getting harder to make anything on the work that we're doing because, you know, YouTube is so poor. They need to care about their profit. I would love to not have to worry about monetizing in any of those at all, but that involves a lot more help and a lot more work from you guys and a lot more giving. And I know what life's like right now. So if you just could go over and watch the content that I post, it would actually mean a lot. Make it possible for me to keep doing what I'm doing here. This administration is fake as crypto. No argument there. I'm sure if anyone will be charged with insider trading from the Trump selling announcement. I will be very interested to see what comes from, like, comes after the midterms. I'll be very interested to see what comes after the midterms.
Well, I think we have a pretty good idea, Mike. Let's assume we'll just talk about one thing: the House. Democrats have about a 90% chance of taking the House. If they hadn't lost the gerrymandering wars, it would have been 95, 97% chance of taking the House. But what's going to occur will be just a whole host of investigations, 2 full years of investigations.
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes the most awesome power that the House has is subpoena power. Now, people forget that Congress has just as powerful a subpoena as any DOJ has. And they can get people in there. They have the ability and they have the budget to do massive investigations. And that is precisely what they're going to do. It is going to be 2 years of a living hell for Donald Trump.
Guys, if you wouldn't mind, keep tapping that nose, sharing the live, doing all the things that help push it out to more people. But yeah, we'll forever be a K-shaped economy? No, we won't. No, we won't. Something's going to happen. There's no choice in the matter. This is not sustainable, what's happening right now. Something is going to happen. This kind of economy, the way things are going, is not sustainable. There have been things that have happened that have allowed like there to be a hiding of the problems, and that's the problem I have with the fact that they've got subpoena power and they can do these things and they can breathe these things in. I'm not saying they don't need to do it. They obviously need to do it. But I'm also just tired of the theatrics of these investigations. It just feels like it's just a bunch of theatrics with nothing actually getting done. And we're spending so much money to do it. Again, not saying we shouldn't do it. I just hear that and my brain goes, I'm just going to hear, we're 2 more years of whining with nothing getting done.
Heather asks in comment, Scott, how many seats will turn the House blue? 60, 80%? No, actually 51% turns the House blue, or 50 plus 1 vote. Heather, this may come as a surprise to you, but the Democrats only need to pick up 4 seats to turn the House blue. 4 out of 435. So it's, the House is pretty much split right now, right down the middle.
The same.
That's why Johnson can't get anything passed.
The same amount we need to pick up in the Senate to have a majority, in fact.
That's right. Yeah, they have to pick up 4 in the Senate. A net 4.
Yeah, a net 4. Censor the Supreme Court. We just need day in and day out. We're already seeing, if you haven't noticed how the lack of regulations have been a detriment to our food industry, you haven't been paying attention. The amount of foodborne illnesses that are in our food with recalls just over the last few months, just over the last 2 months, has been absolutely insane. Lettuce, guacamole, granola now, and tomato soup packets, and eggs, and there are just so many things that are causing this problem. And thank Doge for that. I mean, I blame the president for that. Did they gut the FDA? They were just removed regulations. They got rid of a lot of the regulations that protected it. It's not, I mean, it also gutted a lot of the people from it, but also they're just ignoring things that they used to.
Not only ignoring, Mike, flat out repealing them, repealing work rules with the agencies at the EPA, at the Federal Trade Organization. They're just literally getting rid of some of the rules that have been around for a long time. And as you pointed out, when you get guardrails are there for a reason, folks. And when you get rid of them, trouble happens. And that is especially true in the financial sector. Subprime loans are growing. Anybody remember 2008? That was because of subprime loans.
Yep. Do you think Abdul El Said has a good chance? Yes, I think he's got a great chance. I think he's got a great chance. The person he's up against is an idiot. Almost as much of an idiot as the guy that that Ossoff is going up against in Georgia.
Boy,
That guy's an idiot.
Ossoff is having himself a campaign, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He has really turned out to be quite the talented politician. I mean, when he first won, I knew he was a good senator. He concentrated on constituent services. He kept his head down. He kept his nose to the grindstone. But he has shown a tremendous political ability that I didn't think he had. And if he wins by as much as I think he's going to win in Georgia, namely more than 10 points, which is unheard of in Georgia,
yeah,
he's going to be talked about in 2028. I'm not saying he'll run. I have no idea what he wants to do, but he would be viable.
Yeah. Yeah. More viable than Hegseth.
I couldn't believe it when they said Hegseth is going to, do little unannounced campaign things in
test the
Iowa. Are
waters.
you fucking kidding me? I mean, even Republicans think that guy's a dope.
Trump got out of Syria, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan. Give him a few months to finish in Iran. What happened to no new wars, John? No new wars. I mean, sure, he'll be done in a few months in Iran, but not because he won, but because he lost so bad that there's no other option. He's literally an imbecile who has no idea what he's doing. Yeah, 2 weeks. Remember at the beginning of the war when they said they were going to be done by the end of the month? Remember that? I remember that. And then he said at most 6 weeks. I also remember that. Hey, James.
Well, he also said that gas prices would be going back down even lower than they were before the war.
Mm-hmm.
We're still waiting.
Still waiting. And especially diesel. I feel bad for anyone that's diesel right now, man. The diesel prices just keep going up, 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 up. By the way, if you're in Florida, Alaska, or Wyoming, make sure you're getting your butt out and voting in the primaries today. That's the most important thing you can do today. But yeah, oil has really shot up. Murbain is almost at 100. Brent's 91. WTI is at 85. Murbain shot up a ton. We're talking, it's gone up like $10 in a week or in a day or two. Oil's going into a new permanent range, which again, arguably, I'm not sad about that because I'm hoping the long-term repercussions of that reality is that we get out of using oil for everything and we go to renewable forms of energy. Like I hope we start actually putting some work into like hydrogen cells or something like that, because you burn a hydrogen cell, what does it make? Water. Oh no, water. So horrible. How could we? Oh, he is a pathological liar.
Jules says in comment, states need to change their primary voting for independents. What you're talking about is getting rid of the closed primary thing, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something you might want to check out, Jules. A lot of states do what my state and Mike's state does. They technically have a closed primary, but you can actually show up and request a ballot for either party anytime you want to. You'll technically be registered with that party for a day, but you're still allowed to go and vote. You just have to request a ballot from a certain party. So, Jules, I would suggest that you check out your state's rules. You may be pleasantly surprised.
And also, we've had this discussion too. I understand the desire of independence to be independence, right? I understand that desire as someone who has been an independent their entire life. I understand that desire. But the ability to fix the problems in, to fix the problems that we have in this country, if that requires you to be registered as a Democrat in order to get people in that want to fix those problems, just do it. In the end, the only reason for registering with a party is for the primaries. There's no other purpose. You can vote for whoever you want after the primaries. So if you're in a state where you can't, don't be an independent. Register with the Democrat. I would say the Democratic Party at this point. Chances are, if we're here, that's who you're going to be supporting to get the change that we need, to fix the problems that we need, because there are other problems with having so many independents in every state. Like I know some people in New York that were running, and they were having problems getting signatures because of how many independents there were in their area. Because in order to get on the Democratic ticket, you have to get Democrat signatures. So it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything in the end. I would just say changes are needed within the USA. Changes that help people. Again, socialist, communist, capitalist, those are literally just words. I don't care. I don't care what you call it. We need stuff that helps people. That's it. People can't afford to live. We need to fix that. I don't care. Let's call it humanist changes are needed. AI will eat all labor's value. No, it won't. It'll change labor's. It will change labor. That's all. Just like computers did. Like, it just changed things. Carla, no, it's not. You don't know what communism is. Like, if you...
Ari has it exactly correct. She says communism and socialism are
just buzzwords.
You got it. You are exactly right, Ari. They don't mean anything. They are just buzzwords. And why are they buzzwords? Because woke and trans stopped working. So now they've come up with a new one. And keep your eye out for jihadists. Trump is trying to bring that into the whole mix. So when you can't talk about the issues, when you can't defend your record, you start hurling around ridiculous phrases like communist.
What's up, Shug? I wouldn't need to talk about the definition if people would actually pay attention to definitions and stop using just random words that they don't understand the meaning of, that aren't true. Calling people in the DSA communists is not true. Calling socialism the same as communism isn't true. They are different. Yes, according to Marx or Lenin, I forget which, in order to get to communism, you have to start with socialism because we are in a capitalist system. But even that is not really true, because the socialism he talks about is pretty much authoritarianism before it goes to communism, not socialism. So it's like, This is why I hate when we use those words. This is why I don't want to use those words. I want to talk about the problems that we have and just look at what the solutions can be. It doesn't matter what words you use. Things are either a problem or they're not a problem. Especially when we're talking about what we're talking about. People being able to afford to survive is the problem. How do we fix it? When people come in and just say, just get a better job, that's not fixing the problem. That's what you guys have been saying that's what they've been saying since I was a kid. If you're not failing, you just got to do better. Well, that mentality is what got us here. So obviously it's not working. Gabriel, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never actually interacted with a socialist. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. What's disgusting about them? The fact that they desire people to be able to afford to survive and pay their bills? Disgusting. So disgusting. Oh my gosh. It's horrible. Since I'm a kid? Oh, Bill. I'm not even going there because that's hilarious. You think I'm 25? I mean, I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Says a guy. Am I begging, Scott? Have I ever begged anyone? Like ever?
Did you ask me a question? I'm sorry, Mike.
Yes, someone says that I'm begging on here all the time.
No, I don't see you begging all the time, Mike. I don't know what he's referring to, but
they think anyone that's on here doing a live is just begging for money. That's what they believe is the only purpose.
Gifting in lives is never required, but always appreciated,
exactly.
Of course. And by the way, Mike's live is no more unique in that regard than any other content creator on this app. It's how content creators get paid for what they do, folks. Unless, of course, you're a communist and you don't want them to get paid.
Pro-victim. Oh, okay. You guys are hilarious.
How about pro-constitution? How about pro-rights that are granted us under the Constitution?
You think, when did I say that this is the first peace deal in history not to be met? Where is my statement up here that says that this is the first peace deal to not be met? Please let me know, Jesse, where I said that. This administration, since the start of the war, has basically said that they've already won. They've already won. Then it should have been possible to put a deal together in 60 days. So there's two options. Either we didn't really win, or this administration is incompetent, or both. I'm going with both.
Okay, folks, you've all seen the comments from Grace. If you live in the Sunshine State, get your butt up and get out and vote.
I don't want America anywhere near Iran anymore. I want us out. I want us out of the Middle East, if I'm being honest. I want us out of most of the world. Gabriel, Gubriel. I don't know what your name is.
See, I told you they'd come in with jihadists. Thanks, Gabriel. I'm thrilled. What's the matter? You already got bored with communists and socialists, and now you've moved on to jihadists? Hey, what happened to woke and trans? That's oh so 2024, isn't it? Woke and trans sort of jumped the shark, so now you're on to the communist, socialist, jihadist kick. I got a better idea for you. How about talking about the issues Americans care about? You know, silly things like the cost of groceries, the cost to heat and cool your home and fill your gas tank. Or better yet, how about healthcare? How about the fact that Trump cut the subsidies for the ACA, 80% of which went to red states? How's that for paying back his loyal voters? And what about the Medicaid cuts? What do you think about that? Or would you just rather keep saying jihadist?
Instead of engaging trolls, maybe we talk. I mean, we have been talking about the primaries. I mean, I've been live for almost an hour. We have talked about the primaries. We talk about a lot of different things. There's no information to give yet about the primaries other than get out and vote. Depending on how I'm feeling at the end of the day, I may go live to see the Florida results, because the Florida results are going to be the quickest ones to get. But yeah, other than get out and vote, there's really not much to talk about yet on the primaries. You could discuss who's running. I mean, seriously, do you understand how many people are running? And we've been talking about it for months.
By the way, you want to hear who's running? Why don't I give you a little hint? Go over to the tube of you. Mike has interviewed how many people now, Mike?
Well, total hundreds.
Yeah, total.
From Florida alone, Florida and Alaska, probably close to a dozen if you add them all up.
Well, how many total? How many total interviews have you done?
Probably
Hundreds?
close to 200.
Okay, so they're all candidates running for office. So Mike is actually interviewing these candidates. So if you are interested in hearing what the candidates have to say, that's a good place to go look at them.
No, for the last 45 minutes, I've been engaging people that have been talking about things. Because that's how my live works. All you had to do was talk about the primaries, and I would have started talking about it instead of complaining about how I'm running my own live. I appreciate you being here, but if you don't like the way I'm running my live, you don't need to be here. I talk about what people want to talk about, and then I talk about what I want to talk about. If people don't talk about it, then I don't talk about it, because that's not what people want to talk about. I miss how you used to talk about real topics.
Talking about healthcare is not a real topic. Talking about the war in Iran is not a real topic. I'm sorry, could you be more specific?
Most Floridians had no idea there was early voting for Saturday and Sunday because the newspapers didn't talk about it. I wish I were surprised about that. I wish I were surprised. I know you can't wait. Okay. All right. Look, I'm sorry that I don't run things the way that I used to. Or at least in your opinion. I talk about things that I want to talk about at that moment. And I talk about things that I think are important. And I have talked about the primaries for the last how long? How long have I talked about?
Since literally before they started.
Yeah. That's why I've been interviewing people. Months, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Captain. saying this platform has changed over the last few months. It's not what it used to be.
You know
And it's
what, then,
sad.
Luna? You really don't have to stay here, do you? Apparently, this is a major disappointment in your life, and I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry that you feel that it's changed. I don't feel that I do anything differently than I normally do. Do I let people that a lot of you guys don't want to talk more? Yes, because it hurts my algorithm if I don't. And arguably it sucks. It does suck. In a perfect world, I wouldn't have to deal with the trolls. But you know, in a perfect world, all of you guys would be over on YouTube and I wouldn't have to worry about it as much. If I'm being honest. I'm live on Twitch and YouTube and there's 3 people watching me. So y'all are aggressive. I'm just not liking the troll engagement. We understand you're not liking it, but you are literally putting me down for how I'm running my live. You're coming in here to tell me that you don't like my live anymore. I'm not sure what you're hoping to get out of that. Elon is going to take us to Mars. Good luck with that. Maybe you should join him.
Well,
Go join him.
first, Elon has to be able to launch a rocket that doesn't blow up. That would be a help on our way to Mars.
Yeah, I got a job. I deal with trolls every single day. That's my job. Does that make you happy? Does that make you feel nice? Just give you a reason that you can be like, oh, the host doesn't have a job. I own this house that I'm in. So obviously, I work because I pay my bills.
Bonnie says in chat that perhaps we should just send Elon to Mars. The problem, I spoke with the Martians yesterday, Bonnie. They don't want him. They won't grant Elon a visa to visit Mars.
Wow. My wife is not a nurse. But it's nice to know you're trying to dox me. No, I didn't lie to you. Didn't lie to anyone. My wife was a nurse. She went to school for nursing. Doesn't mean she is a nurse. I live in North Carolina, Brendan. Making up stuff in the moment to pretend you have a point. Okay. I don't care if you believe me. I know what my wife went to school for. I was there when she graduated. That's not a job. Getting your hands dirty, that's a real job. So obviously, you think Elon Musk doesn't have a real job. Obviously, you think Elon Musk doesn't have a real job because that man has never gotten his hands dirty once in his life. Guaranteed. That man's been handed everything. You live near Wilmington? I love Wilmington. It's a great place. I appreciate that. Look, I would love to have in-depth conversations. The problem with having the kind of conversations that we need is when they end up being really good is when I get a few people in, like, up on the panel that want to have hard conversations. Because in the end, what ends up happening in the chat is a lot of nuh-uh statements from people that say they want to have conversations, but don't really. He doesn't have to worry about anything. Sure, he doesn't.
Heather in chat asks, how drastic will the swing of the Latino vote be in the upcoming elections? It's going to be pretty drastic, Heather. In the election of 2024, the president did very well with Latino votes, the most ever for a Republican, as the Latino vote shifted about 20 points towards the Republicans. Now we're seeing a shift back of in between 20 and 25 points towards the Democrats. Donald Trump has lost every Latino vote he got and then some.
Elon Musk is not making the US more powerful. Elon Musk is only making himself more powerful. Nobody else. He is not helping the United States. He's helping his rich friends at most. And that's it. The war in Iran didn't destroy America. Elon is trash. Can confirm. I can't afford Colorado right now. People can't afford anywhere. That's the part that people don't get. People look at the amount people are making in states like California and New York and saying, just move to Oklahoma or whatever and you'll be fine. Well, they don't get paid as much in Oklahoma. So yeah, it's cheaper to live, but you don't get paid as much. So it won't help you. He's going to build AI data centers in space and it is going to make the US win the AI race. No, it may make him win the AI race. But I know there's this idea that we as the United States can live vicariously through him. That's not how it works. This is literally not how it works. We aren't winning anything. Corporations are winning a lot of stuff. That's why when we say we're going up, we're fighting against like places like China in the AI war. China benefits when China does things because of how China does things. Is it the best way of doing things? No. Doesn't change the fact that the way they run their economy and their government does allow for all of China to actually benefit and quote unquote win. America doesn't. He's going to heal the, oh my gosh. Got friggin' calling Elon Musk Jesus Christ now? The hell? Oh, Gabriel, whatever, got muted. Starting comparing Elon to Jesus Christ, that's not something you're going to have a conversation on. I'm seeing reports that Tallarico is going to have to give money back because donors are giving more than the 3,500 limit. Well, good. Got to hold him accountable too. How's McConnell? I haven't seen him. I think I saw one picture of him being pushed in a wheelchair, but past that, I still haven't heard. I haven't seen him anywhere doing anything. Tired of all the food recalls? It's really bad. Tomato soup and granola. Tomato soup and granola. So it's the amount of different things that have been recalled is crazy. Hey Loki, sup? Eggs, yep. Guacamole, lettuce. Today they announced popsicles and fruit bars. Am I a vet? No. No, I'm not. Is that by design? I mean, in the end, the recalls only hurt the businesses. So I don't know how that could be by design, but
Sorry about that. I had a phone call.
you're good. Just admit that Trump is winning bigly. His version, I don't like his version of winning. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. Whereas Melania to save Trump, Melania's too busy, or Trump's too busy hanging out with his aide, who they like passing each other like love letters, love notes. Have you guys seen the reporting on that? It's disgusting. Yeah, Natalie Harp. It's gross. It's gross. He talked about going to the I country to become a prime minister. I'm sure, of course he did. Of course he did. Even hired John Cornyn's top former aide to go against Paxton. Interesting. They call her his human binky. She's his diaper changer. It like, and again, how can we sit here? And again, I understand she's an adult and he's an adult. I mean, as much of an adult as he ever was. But like, the fact that they can see and know exactly what's going on and complain about Clinton and pretend that there's not a, and then also like be like, oh, we don't need to have the e-files released and all this other stuff. It's just like, dude. Oh, I understand that, Loki. I understand that. It's just gross. This is why I keep coming back to, we have to decide whether or not these things are bad. Regardless of, take the letter away from your name. Take even conservative or progressive away from your identity for 1 minute and just have a conversation about whether something is right or wrong, regardless of anything else. If we cannot get to a point of holding people accountable straight up for things that we think are wrong and ignore the identity politics side of things, how can we expect anything to change? Like, how? How can any of us expect anything to change when all we do is sit here and point fingers at everybody and not actually realize that the problem is universal? Why does everyone suddenly think? No one thinks the presidents from the past were so pure. I don't. I just want to change things. That's the other issue that we've got, right? When we have these discussions and someone goes, but Biden, or but Obama, or but Bush, or but whoever, is it a problem? If it's a problem, we need to fix it. If the fact that people can't afford to live, can't afford to pay their bills is a problem, then let's talk about the problem and how we fix it. If the cost of health insurance is a problem, then let's look at the things that fix it. Because when places like the Harvard, whatever they're called, I can't remember, the health group in Harvard comes out with a study that shows that we as a country, the voters, would save $1 trillion every year with universal health care. And then I get told by people that say they are fiscally responsible. Wild. It's wild.
You know, that's a pretty good point, Mike. And in fact, you made a post about that, about the Harvard study. We've talked about universal health care more as a morality thing. It's just the right thing to do. Well, it's also cost effective. It would save us $1 trillion a year to do it. It's cost effective in addition to being the right thing to do.
How? Because it will cost everyone less money. It will remove healthcare from your job. It will cost every business less money because businesses are the ones that are subsidizing.
Bartkus, don't forget that insurance companies, their profit margin is about 15 to 20% of premium. That goes away in a national health care program. So you're saving a ton of money right off Jump Street. The transaction costs involved in Medicare is about 1 to 1.5% of premium. So you're saving a boatload of money.
Who pays
right off Jump Street?
The doctors, the doctors get paid the same way doctors always get paid. It doesn't change. It's all coming from one place, as opposed to that doesn't care about making a profit, as opposed to a bunch of insurance companies that do care about making a profit. It would not cost $7 trillion a year. That's ridiculous.
About the highest cost estimate I've seen is about $3 trillion a year, which is a little bit less than what we're currently spending when you add up both government programs and in the private sector. And again, the Chen School at Harvard came up with the actual numbers. It would save us about $1 trillion a year. Now, unless you have better statistics than that, let us know if you do.
There you go. They just told you where. You can go read it.
There's Harvard Chen School, CHEN.
I'm not letting you up. Hello. Would it eliminate insurance companies? Well, yeah. Most likely, if I were guessing, because again, there's still going to be a lot of interactions between doctors and hospitals and people that provide the money that pays for the things, because it still will come from somewhere. It would probably end up them being, those people could all work basically for Medicare, and their job would be to do the insurance, to all the insurance claims via Medicare, as opposed to working for 20 different companies or however many. Thank you, miss. Appreciate that. Then you are a grifter. Oh, okay. I don't care what you think about me. This isn't a debate channel. You saying numbers that go against everything I've read, and when we tell you where to read it, you just say let me up, shows you don't actually want to talk about the problem. You're also not even admitting there's a problem. So if anyone who thinks that the way things are working right now is okay, or we should go backwards, can't have a conversation with you. I can't have a conversation with you. There's nothing to talk about. And that's fine. I don't like it, but it's fine. You can have that perspective. Again, welcome to America. You can have that perspective. But don't expect to have me allow that kind of dangerous perspective into my stream. This is my stream. I don't let dangerous and patently false things have voice here. And I know a lot of people on the right will come in, the ones that love to debate will come in and be like, you're biased. Well, yeah, I'm biased to the survival of humans. Yep. I have no argument that I am biased. Bring it on. Bring on my bias. I care about people, and I care about the survival of people and the future of people. That's what I care about. Take my likes. Thanks, Christopher. I do appreciate it. And I know there are people that are talking consistently here that don't agree with me on a lot of things, but I appreciate when you are willing to listen to what I say and actually process it and not just say I'm dumb. Very few deserve it like you. I appreciate that. It really does mean a lot. Hey, Black. I'm good. How are you? It doesn't platform idiots. Thank you. I try not to. You have to watch out for people that actually want to converse and understand instead of ad hominem. Yep. And again, saying you don't trust the government is valid. Saying you're nervous about, if someone came in and said, I am scared about the idea of universal health care because I don't trust our government. You know what my response would be? Same. That absolutely the same. If there is one thing that makes me nervous about universal health care, it's that I don't trust our government very much right now. I still think it's a better step than what we are currently doing. Regardless. What's a partisan issue that you find illogical that it is partisan? It's not that there are any issues like all the e-files. The fact that it's almost become partisan to have this discussion regarding the e-files is wild to me. The fact that we are that you know, saying, you know, there's just so much incongruency in so many of the discussions because it's just going for gotchas. It's all about gotchas right now, and I hate that so much. I'm going to say something that's controversial to say as a progressive. Go for it. No progressive is the same. There's no such thing as what makes a progressive. Literally a foreign state pulling our strings. I mean, they're definitely trying to. There's multiple that are trying to. Unfortunately, they're doing too damn good of a job of it. I'll say it again. Couple things I want to say really quick. One, if you are in Florida, Wyoming, or Alaska, make sure you get out and vote. Primaries are today. So get out and vote. Get out and vote if you're in any of those states. It's very important. Also, if you aren't following over on the tube of YouTube, please go follow right now or later after this is done and help me grow over there. I interview so many people. I'm trying to get me down to about 3 posts a week. I was posting like every day when I had tons of people to interview. I'm down to like 2 or 3 days a week. But a lot of these people I'm interviewing are people that are running for office that need visibility and name recognition. The only way they can get that is from people like you watching their stuff, sharing their stuff, liking it, getting YouTube to push that out to more people. But I'm also interviewing some other people that like I'm starting to branch out again, which is nice. Talking with people from like Hollywood, which is nice. It was really fun to have a non-political conversation on a interview. Like it was like a breath of fresh air to not have a political conversation. Partisan issue I'm surprised is partisan is transgender in cis women's sports and in women's bathrooms and in women's jails. If you actually poll Americans, their view stuff is 80-20 issue. The majority of Americans, even Democrats, don't support this. I don't in the sense of I don't agree with you. It's not a problem. My issue is that people think it's a problem. And that's why it's partisan on my the numbers of transgender women, especially in sports, is minuscule once you get out of high school. And high school, it should just be about what sports teach you. And when it comes to bathrooms, the least dangerous people in those bathrooms are the transgender women. It's literally been shown. The reason that people have an issue with it, I've found, is that because they don't understand. It makes them uncomfortable. They don't understand what it means to be transgender. There has not been multiple transgenders that have broken records from cis women's sports. That is a lie. That is a lie. Not enough to make it worth doing something about. I have looked it up. You think I haven't been looking it up? Dude, I've been doing this for years now. When you consider how many records there are in this world, the number that are made up by anyone who is transgender is minuscule to naught. And it's only matters because people care about trying to that really doesn't matter. The number should be 0. Not when you're talking about the safety of people. Safety of people, the danger that the rhetoric against the transgender community causes because of those kind of statements is more important than any of them. I don't care if a transgender woman gets a record. Who gives a shit? Why does anyone care? Why does anyone care? It's a record. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Sure, until it happens to you. You think until it happens to you? What are you talking about? Maybe we should teach people to be better sports and stop whining when they're beaten.
And by the way, it's important to note, and I know you've noted it before, Mike, there are currently about 500,000 people participating in NCAA collegiate athletics. Fewer than 10 are trans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what wraps you guys all up? Really? Really? Or is this just code for something else? In other words, you can't talk about real issues, so you talk about this.
Yeah, and most of them are trans men. There's actually very few trans women that compete ever. I disagree that the number should be 0. I think the purpose of sports is not about breaking records. I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. The problem that we have in sports is that we have made records important. Shouldn't be important. Shouldn't care. That's not what sports should be about. Sports should be about learning to work as a team, learning to lose gracefully, learning to win gracefully, hard work, all of the things that come with competing. Why do you care about records? Why does anyone care about records?
Exactly, Patty. Exactly, Patty.
When the statements made have to do with a group of people that make up what, 0.01% of the population, something like that, total. It's not even when you go percentage wise in amount of people in sports. And let's be fair, you say the number should be 0. How many people in sports cheat? How can you explain exactly how what I said brings harm to the trans community? Actually, what you said brings more harm to cis women in sports than it does trans women, but it does obviously endanger them too. But how? Because it makes people try and make laws that allow adults to check what's under people's pants to make sure that they're allowed to compete. Both trans women and women. If you are a woman but your features are masculine, they start accusing you of being transgender and try and kick you out of bathrooms and kick you off of sports and all that other stuff. Yes, there are multiple other ways, but we're talking societally. And what I'm saying is the rhetoric is more dangerous than anything. If you want to put in rules that, if you are transgender, there are certain things that need to exist, whether you're talking like levels of testosterone or whatever, in order to be able to compete, then sure, you can have that discussion. I'm talking about the rhetoric problem. I'm saying the way you discuss it is more dangerous than actually implementing the law. Yes. Yes, I'm saying how it is talked about, how we have these interactions. When you come in and you make this idea that 80% are okay with kicking these people out of sports because they're breaking laws, it empowers people. It empowers people that do not like what's going on for whatever reason to do some stupid things. Like I said, if you want to sit here and say that if you believe trans women are women and trans men are men, then make standards, which have been found to be in most cases true anyways, for them, of things like testosterone levels or whatever. Like, if you want to make standards, make standards. That's fine. But when you specifically focus on the fact that you think trans women are cheating, you are endangering all trans women. Or you thinking, or you act as though all trans women are dangerous in bathrooms. You are endangering them. And you're endangering some women too. Hey, J-Man. When there is no data to show that trans men are more dangerous than regular men when it comes to bathrooms. Cis men are way more dangerous than trans men when it comes to endangering women in bathrooms. Like so vastly farther. No, they aren't, Ava. No, they aren't. And the data proves that. Texas Live. This administration gave Iran around $100 billion.
As opposed to all the complaining about the $400 million that Obama sent over, which was, by the way, their own money. This was Iran's money they had spent for American arms under the Shah. And with the 1975 revolution, we didn't send them the arms and we kept the money. We gave it back for the JCPOA. Pretty good return on investment. And Trump wants to give Iran $350 billion with a B.
So, Black, I'm assuming you are not transgender. How can you, as someone that has never experienced what a transgender man or woman has experienced, tell them that they aren't what they are when you've never had that experience, nor could you, because you aren't? That's my problem, is people that aren't transgender seem to think that it matters what we feel about it, when it doesn't. We aren't to them. We'll never understand. We'll never understand. So why do we have a right to tell them what is right and wrong, or whether we agree with it or not? It's not about agreeing. They are. Transgender women are women. Transgender men are men. Whether you agree with it or not doesn't matter. And that's the point. When you can show me that transgender women or men in sports or in bathrooms are more dangerous than cisgender men in society, then let's have a conversation about that. Right now, cisgender men are much more dangerous. Much more dangerous. Sorry, they are. There's more cheating in sports by cisgender men and women than there are transgender men and women. Like, vastly more. Like, it's not even funny, the amount more. And yet that is what we're worried about. The amount of graping that happens in this society is done far more by cisgender men and women than transgender men and women. That's just a fact. Hard stop. They aren't a new gender. And that's the point. Again, do I expect you to understand and like be able to truly process what it means? I'm not afraid of anyone. Sure, you're not. Actually, you are terrified of transgender women because chances are you love. I mean, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, so I guess I shouldn't assume your gender. I apologize. But that statement makes me think that you're like a guy who believes in alpha men. So, nope. Transgender is never an issue, and kids have been transitioning forever, and they don't transition the way you seem to think they do. How much history do you know? Probably more than you, Ken. Probably more than you. I've never been harassed by a trans woman. Yep. Some of the nicest people that I know on this planet are trans women. Like, seriously. The nicest people, the most caring, the most empathetic, the most understanding. Yes, they have not transitioned kids, not in the way that you think it is. It happens, at least. Look no further than California state laws. The state law doesn't mean anything. That's just a law. That doesn't mean that it happens. How's the process go? You have to meet with a doctor. You have to meet with a psychologist. In the beginning, they usually will start with just clothing changes, maybe a name change. And usually after many, many years, usually at most they may do like some injections, maybe. Surgery never happens until after they're adults. Thanks, Christopher. Yes, actually, Ken, I have. I've had a trans woman has multiple times been in the bathroom with my little girl. Totally fine. Hormone blockers are not the issue. Cis people get hormone blockers all the time. They're pretty normal. And again, you don't get them for a while. It's not like you just walk in and I don't know, Philip, ask your mom. Oh, I would I would trust, in general, I would trust a trans person, man or woman, more than a cisgendered man or woman. Straight up. Straight up. Yeah, but you're not protecting the children because you're not listening to the children. That's the point. Adults that fear this idea of being transgender do not actually understand it at all. You fear it because you don't understand it. So you're prejudiced? Prejudiced? No. It's called experience. I have found that because of what transgender people have to go through, just by being who they are, they tend to be more caring, apathetic, and safe. Does that mean all of them are? No, that'd be like saying that any human is 100% guaranteed to be safe. But if we're talking like percentage chance of danger, it's much more chance of a cisgendered man or woman being dangerous than a transgender man or woman. And that's just a reality. Because again, because of what, this is the part that always, we talked about this yesterday when you weren't here, Scott. People don't realize that people that come out as transgender, that are willing to be out, that are publicly transgender, they know what they're going to experience. They know the hate, the anger, the danger that they're going to experience by being who they are. And yet they're still willing to do it. And like, it is
They're
not a
very
mental health
brave.
issue. If you say that kind of crap again, you are gone. You might end up being gone anyways because I have good mods, but don't you ever say something like that again. Nope. There you go. Sorry. Go, Scott.
No, I just said, following up on a comment in chat, they are brave.
Yep.
They're brave. That's a terrifying thing that they're doing it, and they're doing it with eyes wide open.
What's odd? Again, if you are cisgendered, if you identify as the gender you were assigned at birth, you will never understand what it's like to be transgender. It's impossible. It is mentally, physically impossible for you to fully understand it. And that's okay. Just like as a guy who is attracted to women, why would I understand what it's like to be attracted to men? I'm not. That's just the way it is. It's not right or wrong. It just is. You can say that about anyone that's different than you. Sure. That's what empathy's for. That's the point of empathy. I'm willing to listen and believe them. A trans woman says that they are a woman. I believe them. Straight out. If that trans woman cheats, don't blame to win in whatever capacity you're talking about. Stop blaming it on her being transgender. Blame it on her being a bad person. That's the problem, right? That's the problem that we're dealing with in this country when it comes to everything. when we're dealing with all of these things. It's when you interact with the problem, do you say that person is bad, or do you try and put an entire group of people in that? Like, that's the difference. When I talk about fraud in this country, I say the people that commit fraud are bad. I don't care what party you're with. I don't care what country you originated from. I don't care anything. But when someone else comes out and says, Minnesota's the problem, or Democrats are the problem, or Somalia is the problem, all because a bad person did a bad thing, then the conversation's over. There's nothing left to talk about because it's not about the problem anymore. Disagree, Castle. That's all you care about is what other people are doing. No one's forcing it on you or others. Again, you don't understand what it means to be transgender. So saying don't force it on others means that you don't know what you're talking about. Living your life publicly is not forcing it onto others. That's called living life. You not wanting to see it is a you problem, not a them problem. They are a part, they are real, they have value. You need to accept that they are real and they exist and it's okay. And they're allowed to talk about their experiences and the fact that they were talk about, whether or not, what happened, how they realized that they were misgendered growing, when they were born, or they were just born in the wrong body. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's being forced on you. Again, this is where empathy comes in. This is where humanity comes in. I mean, yeah, Barry, that's definitely one of the problems, that it's such a small segment of the population and making such a major issue of, but it's also, it's more, why are we othering people? Because we do that with everybody right now. We're all othering in one way, shape, or form. We are all othering people, and it's disgusting. It's vile, the amount of othering that happens in this country right now. Or even propagandized heavily. Unfortunately, propaganda has been a reality throughout history. I understand what you're talking, but none of those. But you are making a problem that isn't a problem. It's only a problem because you don't get it, because you don't understand it. Castle, that's the point. It's not a problem. Cisgender men are more of a danger in women's bathrooms than transgender women. Cisgender women cheating in sports is more of a problem than transgender women having some sort of extra benefit because they were born with male genitals. And the data backs that. That's the point that you're not getting. And we don't have strict rules in society. That's part of the problem. That's a different problem. We don't have strict rules. The problem is you want to make strict rules just about things you don't understand. You don't want to hold anyone else to any of the other rules that are out there. Couldn't they just claim to be trans? Yeah, but that's still a cisgendered man. Couldn't a couldn't a Muslim claim to be a Christian and do something horrible? Does that make them a Christian? Does that make Christians the problem? Should we not allow anyone Muslim to change, to decide they're Christians now because one person does it? That's still a cisgendered man. A cisgender man claiming to be transgender woman so they can do something bad is a cisgender man being bad. It's not a transgender woman being bad. That's the point. Your brain only allows yourself to make that argument because you don't, because your brain doesn't understand it feels uncomfortable with the idea of being transgender because you're not. If you understand that a transgender woman is a woman, then the problem is still cisgender men. And the problem has always been cisgender men. That's the point. We should be spending more time teaching cisgender men to be less dangerous. Instead, we're focusing on the tiniest of the tiniest amount of population in this country, when a majority of the problem is cisgendered men. If we actually did the work as a society, okay, in sports, you can't claim similar biology as a man. You know, we're naturally more physically inclined. You're still making an argument without enough proof that it's a problem. As Scott said earlier, there are 500,000 college students in sports. 10 of them are transgender. The amount of transgender people that have succeeded in college and pro sports at a high level is next to nothing. It's so small, it's not even worth pointing out. I think throughout history, the number of transgender men and women, not just women, men and women, total, that have actually succeeded in a pro level, in a more professional level of sports or even college, you're talking maybe 10 that have done anything. And yet this is what you're spending the time on instead of us actually trying to fix problems. Like the ability for people to survive. That's the frustrating thing. Is I just spent how long now talking about whether transgender women or men should be allowed, and it's always women, it's not even men, whether transgender women should be allowed in sports and bathrooms, when we could have been talking about why people can't afford to live.
It's deliberate, Mike. It's deliberate. They switch the conversation and deflect to issues like this, which is a non-issue. Less than 10 people out of 500,000. They switch to things like this because they can't talk about the cost of healthcare. They can't talk about inflation. They can't talk about what a terrible job tariffs have done in rural and ex-urban America. They can't talk about the price of groceries. They can't talk about the price of gas. They can't talk about the cost of electricity or natural gas. And they can't talk about a war that we've already lost in Iran, a war of choice, by the way. So why do they do it? Because it's all part of their deflection routine. And if Trump wasn't in office, right about now, we'd be hearing, like we have for the last 20 years, Fox News talking about mythical caravans that are coming to the border. And don't worry, if we get a Democratic president, we'll be hearing Fox talk about that. And when does Fox stop talking about the caravans? The day after the election.
Castle, whatever you wrote before got filtered by the app. I'm sorry. I don't want to assume what you were saying based on one word. And actually, for most sports, I think they should. I don't think sports should be gendered. I think the fact that we gender sports is part of the problem. I think if men and women were allowed to compete in most sports at the exact same, I think men would be surprised how much women would kick their butts.
Yeah, Carolyn, there is a daily newspaper, except it's not a newspaper. It's their right-wing media environment, their ecosystem. They keep trying to shift the goalposts, move the goalposts every chance they get, because they can't talk about the issues that affect the American people because they screwed up and they know it.
Or China is building a pipeline through Norway for their oil. I don't know how they would do that. They would have to go through a lot of countries to get to Norway. Unless they're going to go underwater all the way around Russia through the North Pole.
I believe they're talking about Norwegian oil. Norway has a lot of their own oil, Mike.
So Norway's doing a pipeline to China?
No, they're probably just doing a pipeline to make it easier for Chinese tankers to load up.
Oh.
And you're going to be seeing a lot of that. I mean, the Straits of Hormuz are not going to be a viable option forever and ever if Iran and or Oman start charging fees to get through it. You're going to find other nations are going to be looking for alternative ways to get their oil.
Yep. And again, in the grand scheme of things, am I okay with having the conversation we just had? All of them. Yeah, I don't mind it. As long as I feel like there's a willingness to listen and not just say, and not just other people. Because it really comes down to that problem. Because we used to say the same things about the Irish and the Italians. Would you consider saying that now? What was different back then about Irish and Italians that's not the same now? Why is that any different? $2.2 million out of 177 million adults. So yeah, about 1%. And of that, probably 0.1% actually play sports at any level, whether you're talking professional or amateur. The number in amateur is probably less than 10, or professional is probably less than 10 total. And maybe one of them does anything. I have found that when it comes to things like sports and people, especially when it comes to gender, women step up when they're put in a situation where they have to step up. it only takes one good trans athlete to ruin women's sports. False.
Where are you coming up with that? It takes one woman to ruin female sports? I mean, are you kidding?
To be and we're gonna one takes one. Wait, what? One man. I'm sorry. It takes one good man athlete. I'm confused. Women's sports where the trans woman won. Not many. So few, it's not even worth pointing it out. That's the point. The fact that you think that the only reason that they won is because they are transgender is the problem. Again, it's not about people cheating. It's not about people having unfair advantages, because if we're talking about percentage-wise, cisgender men and cisgender women cheat more than anyone who is transgender. They're not suffering. How is that? How is someone getting second place in a championship suffering? Tell me, please. They're not wanting to be girls. They are girls. That's the part you're not getting.
You know what also isn't being brought up in this conversation at all? It's not the kids themselves who are playing the sports that are complaining. It's adults. It's their parents. And their parents are using the entire issue to deflect from real issues.
Fortunate servant, that's the problem. This is the part that you guys, I don't understand why you can't understand it. The fact that you are even separating them out with the idea, no, it's not the athletes too. No. If you're talking, again, if you're talking about percentage-wise, a vast majority of athletes in this country are okay with trans women in women's sports, trans men in men's sports. It's only people that get like 5th place because they don't have the capability of actually like doing good that do the complaining. It's absolutely possible that straight up female athletes can have more testosterone than a trans woman. And that's where the problem comes in. No, the science confirms that there's a possibility of them having an advantage. That doesn't guarantee an advantage, and that does not allow you, that should not allow for the othering of someone just because there's the potential of it. Again, the data shows, if you're talking about the percentage that actually have succeeded, the data doesn't show that. No, I don't know who Peyton McNabb is. Even if I did, it wouldn't matter, because I'm assuming it has to do with that someone being transgender.
Again, 10 athletes, less than 10 actually, out of 500,000.
Oh,
folks,
sports as a whole is the problem. 100%. Sports as a whole is the problem. The fact that people, it's about getting fame and fortune from being in sports is the problem. That shouldn't be what sports is about. That's not, should not be the purpose of sports. But again, we've commodified everything in this country. Literally everything. My daughter is 6'1" at 15. Is that an unfair advantage to the short girls? I'm sure a lot of people would think that, unfortunately.
It's an advantage, but certainly not an unfair advantage.
I mean, every person that has succeeded arguably has an. Michael Phelps. Why did he succeed so well? No, she didn't actually, Roro. That we had this discussion before. The ball did not move any faster than a normal person spiked. That's not true. And again, this is where misinformation comes in. The idea that it's because it was a trans woman is not. A spike to the head can cause a brain injury. Volleyball is dangerous. You obviously have never played against women in volleyball. They can spike. They can spike it hard. I've seen some women spike way harder than I can. And I played volleyball for a while. Her dad is 6'8". She was bound to be tall. Yeah. Spectators at volleyball tournaments get concussions regularly. Yeah. Yeah, look at Serena Williams. If Serena will not being able to beat the 300 ranked in her prime or now? When was she up against the 300th ranked men's tennis player? She said it herself. Yes, if it was her saying it doesn't mean anything. I disagree that she couldn't beat a 300th ranked men's player. I disagree. I think she'd destroy a men's player in her prime. And you can say, well, that you can confirm it. Okay. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't give anyone the right to other people. I don't understand why you can't understand it. It does not give us the right to other people.
Oh, I misunderstood what he said.
I did too.
Yeah, I completely misunderstood that.
That's like saying Serena Williams could never lose. Of course she could lose. She did lose. That's like saying Tiger Woods can never lose. Of course he can lose. I'm saying it doesn't prove that men have the advantage over women physically. It doesn't prove anything. It proves that at one point when she played the 300th ranked, she lost. That's all it proves. That's like saying the fact that the Patriots dominated in whatever year it was and were 15-0 and lost in the Super Bowl means that the people they lost to were actually better. It's a sport. It's a sport where literally one step can change the entire. Like the difference, like there are so many things that can go into that. That's why you can't use those perspectives as correlation does not equate to causation. Correlation is not causation. But she wasn't just beat, bro. She was destroyed. So what? That doesn't give anybody the right to other people. That doesn't mean that it is worth spending as much time, effort, and endangering of people for these conversations. There is no data out there, not even a little bit. Why would we vote red? Republicans literally hate America and Americans. I think men and women have the capability of being equal. Serena Williams grew up playing women's sports. They were separate. So you can't compare the two. Science does not say that. There are plenty of women that are stronger than men and can do exactly what men can do. That's the point.
And Peter Rabbit says, Democrat want you to have nothing and like it. You are full of crap. Now, little Peter Cottontail, why don't you just hop on down that bunny trail because you're full of shit.
You can agree with me on everything else, and I appreciate that. That doesn't mean anything. Women are trained differently. Women, like, everything is always different. I guarantee you, if we unisex the sports, you would see within a decade women destroying men. Guaranteed. Not even a question in my mind. You're allowed to think I have cognitive dissonance in that particular issue. I don't. A delusional? Okay. Except we don't really try it. So, again, women are always trained differently in every way in their sports compared to men. Women don't have to go up against men, so they never have to change or increase or decrease or whatever the way they do things to deal with a different sort of competition. The only reason separation of male and female in sports exists is because men look down on women. It's because men view women as inferior. That's the reason that these splits exist in the first place. I understand that what you're saying. There's no evidence either way because we don't do it. I'm telling you, based on my experience with women just in life, if we unisexed, they would start destroying men. Oh, I was definitely an athlete. Baseball, basketball, soccer, and lacrosse. For about 13 years. I disagree that women are inferior physically. Again, I think we have created it. I think we've created a society that basically puts us in that place. And that's fine. You're allowed to think differently. You are allowed to think that. But again, if your statements allow for the othering of other people, sorry, but no way ask a female athlete. Tell me a female athlete that has experienced growing up in a unisex sport for their entire career and gets trained the exact same, and men and women get trained the exact same way. You give me that, and then we can have a discussion.
What about golf, Teach? Something I know a little bit about. I played high school, college golf, played in the state open and state amateur here in New Jersey. So what are you saying about golf? Not challenging you. I'm just curious. You just spelled out one word, golf.
Again, correlation does not equal causation.
Yep, I agree, Teach. That's what I thought you were going to say. Yeah, you're right. They play at a very high level, much better than they used to. Very high level.
It frustrates me very much that we had to spend as long as we did on this. It is what it is, but the fact that we just spent this long on watching people other a group of other human beings is kind of disgusting to me. It is more important that we fix the problem of affordability, healthcare, housing costs, energy costs, etc., than the tiniest amount of people that are transgender in sports.
Well, that's by design, Mike. They want us focusing on the minutia rather than focusing on the issues that the American people care about. And it's a way to rile their dispirited base. The Republicans are well aware that they are running about 20 points below the Democrats just in enthusiasm for voting in the midterms. That's why they bring up things like the transgender issue. That's why they bring up woke. That's why they bring up commie and socialist and now jihadist.
Yeah. We don't need to abolish capitalism. We need to regulate it. We just need to regulate it again and actually enforce it. Again, I'm not a fan of capitalism when it comes down to it. Yeah, again, we used to have some massive regulations on capitalism post
Great Depression and post 2008.
I'm more angry that I can't buy lettuce without worrying it will make me sick than the sports crap. Me too, Kat. Me too. Me too. And again, that's the problem that we have. That's the problem that we have, that we're experiencing when we're trying to have these conversations. I'm more mad that we allow someone who has been convicted of SA can still be president. I'm more mad that we have someone who has been shown to have been an active participant in many different ways with the guy who had one of the largest child trafficking services in the world and still can be president. No, Jeremy, and it's me. My frustration is that we're actually still having to have the discussion in the first place. But you're right. Yeah, I know you said it's not directed at me, but yeah, you're right. It's disgusting that it for trans folk that we have to deal with it at all. Let's start a moderate trend so we can get our. It's not a moderate or progressive or leftist or conservative. It's a humanist. We need to stop with these identifications. It doesn't matter. You either care about it or you don't care about it. The only way we're going to fix it is if we decide that we care and we're willing to hold anyone and everyone responsible for it. Oh my gosh. See, Castle, any grace that I was willing to give for the discussion before was gone when you said Dems are still. You didn't listen to anything I was saying. That shows you didn't hear one word. The fact that you are actually willing to identify with any group so much that you're willing to generalize with that statement, it's done. I'm done. I'm done talking to you about anything. So you can stay, but I'm not going to be responding to you anymore. We're caught up in extremist thinking. I don't even think it's extremist thinking, because everyone's got their own ideas about what should or shouldn't be. I don't think it's extreme. Again, if you look at the people, at least on the left, I can't, the right, again, I'm not going to get into that right now because I have a different opinion right now on them. If you look at most of the extremists on the left, if you look at their overall reasoning for in general, I'm talking in very general terms, if you look at their overall reasoning for wanting to do the things that they want to do, their goal is to help society. Their goal is to help humanity. I may not agree with their perspective on how to get there, but these are the kind of conversations we need to have. We are not creating it by naming it. You just used the label. I don't get what you're saying, and I apologize if I'm missing something. But at a time so we can get to your place, we have to define it. Oh, I don't mind definitions. I love definitions. Definitions are how we can have conversations. I don't mind definitions. It's when we generalize labels. That's different. We have to agree on what socialism is before we can have a discussion on what parts of socialism may be or may not be good, in the sense of, if we're going to sit here and talk about how the economy is bad and how some people think that that general policies that fall under socialism would help. Why would they help? Where what we're getting right now is just people going, socialism bad, communism bad, capitalism bad. And you know what? In their purest forms, they probably are. It takes defining. It doesn't take labeling. It doesn't. You can either believe these things or not. It does take definitions, for sure. I love definitions. Don't mind defining things all over the place. But labeling is different. And when I say labeling, I mean labeling in the sense of identity. Making a label part of your identity. not the actual label. In the grand scheme of things, I don't mind labels. But what we have turned it into is we made labels part of our identity. Ghost, we're ignoring Castle. We're done with Castle. Let him talk if he wants. We're not responding to him anymore. We need the vocabulary word to look up the definition. Again, no argument there. I feel like you aren't hearing what I'm saying. I know you do. I know you do. Think we can flip NC blue? Sure. Sure. I think the amount of damage that this administration has done, especially to rural America, has a better chance of flipping places that have never been blue than ever before.
I think Roy Cooper is going to win the Senate seat in North Carolina. He's going to win it easily. I don't even think it's going to be close. That one will be called within an hour of after the polls close.
Labeling feeds into labeling feeds into othering when you use it as an identity. Again, I don't mind labels in general. As a general idea, I don't mind. I love definitions. I think definitions are absolutely necessary. The problem that we have in America is we have turned labels into identity. And then from identity, we are othering people. So it becomes very hard to have a conversation because it's never about what Democrats, what people who register as Democrats stand for. It's more about just the fact that they're Democrats. I mean, that's great that you're a teacher, but I still don't think you're getting what I'm saying. I understand what a label is commonly used for, but I'm living right now. And what I'm experiencing and trying to have conversations, labels aren't helping because people are identifying via labels. They aren't using labels how most people should use labels, which means I need to be very careful about using labels and how they're allowed to be used in a conversation right now, here. Again, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have this problem. Right now, we do. Peace around the world, Steve-O. Peace around the world. Might be semantics at this point. It might be. All right, guys. I got to head out. I got to get some food, and then I got to go get my car inspected and oil change and all that junk. Guys, again, if you're not following over in the tube, please follow over there. Please watch. I know it. A lot of you hear me say this all the time, and there is a part of me that's frustrated that I can have 100,000 followers and not get 100,000 views on my stuff, but it is what it is. Please go and watch the stuff. Please go and watch the stuff over on the tube. There's such amazing people over there doing some amazing things, whether they're running for office or whether they're starting some amazing businesses, or they're just amazing people that will make you kind of not feel as shitty about life. Please go and check out and watch stuff and share it, because in the end, conversations are going to happen more between you and the people around you than like minds aren't going to get changed on here as much. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the likes, the shares, the gifts, and the subs. I appreciate all of you. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 9:30. So it'll be 9:30 on the tube. If no one shows up, I end up going live earlier on on TikTok because I need to have people to talk to. That's why I do this. I'm not just going to stand here and talk to myself. So, please come on the tube. It's a nice place to watch. I understand not everyone loves it, but I actually like talking over there better. I kind of wish more people did. Or Twitch. I'm also on Twitch. I'm all three at the same time. So if you got a Twitch account and you've got Amazon Prime, you can sub for free. Just saying. If you want to help out, you want to help a brother out, you can do it for free. All right, guys. I will see you all tomorrow morning. You guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys.